Hello, and welcome to the Lyman Lipke Guitarcast. I'm your host, Lyman Lipke. Who remembers that little lick that I just played? It was the theme jingle to an old Instagram account that I ran half of. And if you ask the fans of that account, that I ran barely any of. They were all there for the other guy. So, we're going to speed run the housekeeping. Join my not-so-secret clubhouse. First email went out yesterday. And another email going to go out in a couple weeks. And there's going to be more cool exercises in there, showing, telling you what I'm doing here. Subscribe on YouTube if you haven't. Follow on Spotify if you haven't. Get at it from both angles of attack. And I am open for lessons, as always. It will be a wonderful day when I can start this podcast and say, please join the waiting list for lessons. But today is not that day. There is no waiting list yet. So I fully intended to start this podcast like angry, guns a-blazing. I was quite upset, but I'll tell you why in a little bit, because I just remembered something. I gotta talk about the guitar before I go off on my tangent. This is Butters. My butterscotch. Is this butterscotch? I don't know. I just call it butterscotch. Telly, that started its life as a Glary, and I took the neck off and put a lion neck on it. And it's the neck that came on the red guitar. That's the current fretless guitar. I also put the tuners from my Squier Strat on here. So it's all sorts of Frankenstein. And these are my pickups. I wound these. Real low output. Like this one's like 4.2K. With ceramic magnets. Got more plans for Telly pickups, but and on the amp that I'm running right now, bass is, or treble is basically all the way down. Other bridge pickup Telly tricks. It's got a lot of bite. I can kind of tame it a little bit with the tone. And of course, the middle position. And the thing that, I like the Telly for, the neck position. Great little guitar. It had a major neck gap on both sides. Because Glary has like bigger necks, I guess. I just shoved a bunch of veneer in the little holes, and now it's pretty stable. Relatively in tune still, and I've been playing it all day. Thanks again for tuning in. I feel like I had something else to say before I got into the story. Oh, it's Thursday. Is it Thursday? It's already Thursday. Wow. Meaning, it's a Q&A episode today. But we're only going to answer one question. But it's a relatively big one. And the first half is just going to be going over this dang story. So I was pretty nettled before I sat down to film. hours ago, and I got distracted by what I was doing. It all stems from my favorite segment. I got into an argument with somebody, and we can use this as a little bit of a teaching moment, to sort of demonstrate why this. I really want to call him a bozo, but for reasons that I'll get into, like I won't call him a bozo. But if he was of sound mind, I would call him a bozo and all sorts of other things. Major, minor, dominant. Those are the 3 chord sounds in jazz. And the other types of chords, like augmented, diminished, usually fall into another category. Like augmented and diminished are usually dominant, but they can, augmented could be like major, like that's an augmented sound right there. That's an augmented chord, but it's major. Like it's a major type chord. So those are the 3 sounds: major, minor, and dominant. This is not my concept. I didn't come up with any of this junk. I got that from an old Joe Pass VHS tape. And it was probably some of the best advice I ever received. Like, you don't need to complicate chords too much, especially like when starting out. Just be able to identify if a chord is major, minor, or dominant. You don't even need to identify the moves. Like, really, like. I don't. If you could identify major, minor, and dominant for all those chords, like, I'd be very happy. You don't need to tell me the exact moves. I couldn't tell you. I was kind of playing chords at random, but with some sort of logical progression, at least in my own mind. It's important. It's very important to be able to hear that in especially for jazz. And so I've been posting these videos, like, identify a chord. Is it major, minor, or dominant? I played this chord. And then I play the chord, and then I play a bass note. So I played this chord and this bass note, except on the 7th string, an octave lower. That is a major chord. Major type chord. Happens to be exactly B flat major 7. This chord is a little bit ambiguous, and this guy was getting at. Let me just bring up the comment. I blocked and deleted him as usual, so you can't go and find it. I mean, it can be a dominant chord while still being a major or a minor. Like, a F major 7 is still a major with a dominant function. So, trick question. There's a lot to unpack there. I don't know of any major F major 7. I don't know if I've ever seen that in the wild functioning as a dominant chord. What dominant means is it's the naturally occurring diatonic 7th chord built off of the dominant scale degree. And the dominant scale degree is the 5th degree of the major scale. They call it that because there are all names for all of the degrees in the major scale. In classical music, I think. You got the tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, and I can never remember 6. Is it submediant or supermediant? It's another mediant, I think. And then 7 is a leading tone. So where does that come from? Like, that is one of those things is not like the other. So, a dominant seventh chord is the naturally occurring diatonic seventh chord built off of the dominant scale degree. What is a diatonic seventh chord? Simply put, I like to say, take any scale degree and skip every other letter till you have 4 letters. So in the key of C, our diatonic seventh chords are A, C, E, G, that group of 4 letters. B, D, F, A. C, E, G, C, B, C, E, G, B, D, F, A, C, E, G, B, D, F, A, C, E. That one spells face. It's kind of cool. G, B, D, F, and then we're back to A, C, E, G. Every single diatonic seventh chord that exists, actually, will contain one of those groups of 4 letters. Like, there might be sharps, there might be flats. It might be, in certain chords, we can have sharps and flats mixed together. Like this chord. That's G minor major 7. Root, flat 3rd, 5th, major 7. So it has to use those specific letters because letters correspond to the scale degrees. Got to contain a G, a B, a D, and an F. We got G natural, B flat, D natural, F sharp. So there's your D minor major, G minor major 7. Is that, and I'm getting off on a tangent here, but to bring it back a little bit, that's a minor sound. Like, especially if there was a G an octave below, clearly G minor. That's what it is. And there's also an augmented triad in there. So augmented chords can be minor as well, properly presented. So diatonic seventh chord, skip every letter in a key, every note in a key, till you have 4 letters. Or some people will explain it's a root 3rd, 5th, and 7th. And the order of diatonic seventh chords correspond to the scale degrees. 1, major 7. 2, minor 7. 3, minor 7. 4, major 7. So we have 1 and 4 are major 7s. 2 and 3 are minor 7s. 5, the dominant degree, is a dominant 7. Another way to attack that. Major triad with a flatted or minor 7 degree. That's a dominant chord. That's generally, that is your bog standard dominant chord. Skip every other letter starting on the dominant scale degree. And if you played the correct notes from the key, you will have a dominant chord. And as far as dominant chords go, we have that chord and chords that act like that chord or act like a dominant chord that resolves to another chord. This could be considered a dominant chord. The key of E flat. This is B flat 11 or B flat 9 sus 4. No 5th. Got that from, invoking the name of the great Joe Pass again. I don't know if you've noticed this about me, but I'm totally trying to cop his style. The bald head with the mustache. I'm hoping it gives me more powers. And this chord also, major triad with the 9 in the bass. So you can think of this as A flat over B flat. It's another way to write that. Like both of these are dominant chords to me. So, got distracted there with some playing. Let's rewind. Dominant 7th chord. Naturally occurring diatonic 7th chord off the dominant scale degree, or the 5th, or a major triad with a flat 7, or a chord that acts like that chord would act. So when you see secondary dominance, it means like a dominant chord that's not built off of the dominant degree. So like in the key of C, A7 is a secondary dominant. It's 5 of 2. D7 is a secondary dominant. It's a 5 of 5. But those chords, they sound nice. You should be able to tell the difference between this and this. Like one of those is minor and one of those is dominant. So let me refresh my memory. F major 7 is a major chord with a dominant function. No. Incorrect. Unless. There's always an unless. I put a G in the bass. There's a G in the bass. That's like G7 sus4, or F major 7 over G. Like, so I could play. So F major 7 could be a dominant chord, which is what I thought he was getting at, but I had a sneaking suspicion like he thought like F major 7, F has a dominant function. And so I said if there's no bass note, it can definitely be ambiguous. So with this B flat, with this chord, which can be B flat major 7 or G minor 7. This could be major or minor. Or dominant. So, but it's you can make a pretty good inference that this is probably B flat major 7. And I'd forgive you for thinking if it was G minor. G minor 9 without a G. Chords are ambiguous. So basically going on first impulse. I used to do this on TikTok. I used to play these chords and everybody was getting like, twisted a little bit, like, and there are the actuallys that always showed up and we're like, it's all of them. And they I would always ask them to justify it. And they did. Whatever. So I'm giving a specific bass note. So you can absolutely make a determination. If this note is an octave lower, that is a major sound. If you call it minor, write me a 500-word essay on why this is minor. Otherwise, get out of here with that nonsense. And if you say, like, well, if we put a G in the bass, well, yeah. So I was hung up on the bass note thing. And then he says, with the bass note, it's a different chord. It can't be major, minor, and dominant. So this is where it confused me. It can be a dominant chord while still being major or minor. But it can't be major, minor, and dominant. Chords without context or played alone have no resolving or non-resolving qualities. It's in relation to the tonic position or what scale you're playing. Or if I'm playing any 7 chords, I can shift the 7th to the minor 7 or play in a minor key passively playing on the minor 7th to bring it out. I don't know what the hell that means. got no idea. And we'll jump into what because I mean, in my mind, there was a contradiction there in the first two comments. It can be major, minor, or dominant. It can't be major, minor, and dominant. Which is it? Figure it out. Did I say in the beginning of this show that I had calmed down and got a little less... I can definitely wind myself up, and I'm doing that. Maybe it's more entertaining. Who knows? I said not like there's nothing there about moving the seventh. Like, this is an exercise in what is. What is this? Well, if you're hearing this below, it's G minor. If you're hearing this below, it's B flat major. If you're hearing this below, it's dominant. Since this is the lowest note, you're likely to hear this as a major chord. If you have some experience and some theory knowledge, you might be able to trick yourself into thinking it's minor, but it's major. Like, with this in the bass, it is absolutely, without a doubt, a major chord. I don't know where he got the idea about moving the sevenths. So, I think we're talking about different things. Without the bass note, you could hear G minor, C7, or B flat major. So all that crap I just explained. I explained that to you. I gave you demonstrations. Like, if you have a misunderstanding of theory, you might, when discussing theoretical concepts, you might be, if there's a fundamental misunderstanding that shifts everything. It's like getting something wrong in the early part of the equation. If you hear this, minor, major, dominant if you're nasty. Those are examples, and I justified them. Let's continue. And I was just trying to say the purpose of these videos is to get people to identify these sounds without getting hung up on what is this. It's a dominant chord. Specifically, it's G7 sharp 9, flat 5, or sharp 11. Make whatever determination on the if it's flat 5 or sharp 11 that you want. But if there's some context clues, that would imply sharp 11, because this is a natural 5. This implies flat 5. This also could imply flat 5. It's sharp 11, natural 5, flat 13, flat 7, root. You might be able to make a determination out of that. All that's to say, it's not super necessary. It's just a dominant chord. What is this? It's the same dominant chord. What is this? It's the same dominant chord. They're all different shades of G7. Somebody asked me, like, how do you remember all these different chords? Like, I'm just thinking G7. Like, I need a G7. This is in the melody. Like, then my choice is very simple. Like, I know how to play that note in the melody with this specific shape. And, I learned my inversions. Like, so when I see G7, and I see a melody note, like G7 with B on top. Play this, play this, play this, play this. I've linked all the G7s together in my brain and in my hands. We might not get to the question. So this might actually just be a bonus podcast. This might not be up on Thursday. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I just cleared a bunch of space on my computer so I can film a bunch more videos. And again, I evoked the name of the great Joe Pass. And he said, of course, the bass note changes the whole chord. It's the root note. But even without it, it's still its own chord. Also, I do believe that both C7 and B flat major 7 are dominant chords as well as major chords. Get the argument for major chords. Sorry. Dominant chord has a major triad in it. But it's not classified as a major chord. As soon as that flat 7 is in there, like it is changed its quality to dominant. B flat major 7, I don't know what he's talking about. As I'm working through this, it seems like B flat major 7 is its own root note. B flat is its own root note. That's a dominant chord. No, it's not! What's wrong with you? Okay. Maybe I won't get into what's wrong with them. Maybe I'll just keep dunking. I think of chords shapes in shapes and intervals, mostly only thinking of a root note, of what note I am when I find the root to my scale. But try not to be pedantic. It's real hard for me sometimes. I can handle, like, if you are not correct with something, if you come at me with incorrect information, if you have an open mind and kindness in your words, I am, and you're asking for help. Like, I am happy to help you. If you're kind with your words, and you're not asking for help, I will just leave you be. Like, have fun. If you're having fun with music, that's all I ever asked for. If you are confidently wrong, like super confidently wrong, and being a little bit pompous about it, that is when all right, it's time to take the gloves off and fight with logic and theory. But this was the thing that really got to me. I'm not sure what the practical advantage of that is in knowing if a chord is dominant or not. Sort of a lot of jargon to go around something that feels natural over time from playing. You want to play jazz? Gotta know what a dominant chord is. 2-5-1. That has all the chord qualities in it. It's got a minor chord. That's your 2 chord. It's got a dominant chord. Your 5 chord. And your 1 is major. You can play any type of minor, any type of dominant, any type of major that relate to those specific roots. So, I could play F major 7 for D minor. I could play F diminished for G7. I could play not that chord. E minor 7. That's what I was reaching for. Major 7, diminished chord, minor 7, as they exist in a vacuum. So what he was getting at is chords. I think what he was getting at earlier is with the whole resolution thing. Chords don't exist in a vacuum. And that's true. But with the information we have, we can make a determination, a logical determination. That's a major chord, or it could be that minor chord. But we've got the range also has a lot to do with it. Like, this is more likely to be a major 7 chord than a minor 7 chord because it's in the lower range. Since this is higher, like, bass has all sorts of opportunity to change the chord. I've lost my train of thought. I'm getting nettled again, but less serious this time. I was seriously nettled earlier, and yeah, this is gonna be its own podcast. So it's Thursday, but it's probably going up on Monday. So howdy. Not like, why do you need to be able to identify a dominant chord? Try to explain me what I just played, without using the term dominant or 7. It's not particularly intuitive. A dominant chord is a very easy descriptor. Very, very easy descriptor. And those are the 3 sounds in jazz. Major, minor, dominant. Jeez. So I went in. It's a necessity for jazz, like specifically where the tradition was passed down initially orally, like through sound. Like, why do you think transcribing is such a big deal, rather than academically? And it changed to be passed down academically, which is, some people have a problem with that. Some people say that might be the downfall of jazz. I have no, real strong thoughts on that. But it started as a word of mouth, for lack of a better word, a sound of instrument tradition. You played the thing, and then the next generation listened to the thing and figured out how to play the thing, and came up with their own ideas on how that thing came to be and why it sounds good, and they use that to transform. Since jazz was passed down, with the ears, it's important to be able to hear what's going on and describe it. Especially if, you're playing with other musicians. Like, you hear a sound in your head and you can play it. Cool. Like, that is the ultimate goal. If you don't know how to describe it, you're trying to describe to another musician what you're doing and what you want them to do in relation, but you don't have the words, there's a language barrier at this point. Unless, the other musician can hear! Use your ears! And then hear what you're doing. It's very, very important. Let's see, what did I say next? In a jazz context, if I hear the notes E flat, A, C, and F together, that's most likely a dominant chord. And then I went and explained what a dominant chord was. E flat, A, C, F. That's F7. Or B7 via tritone substitution. And then here's the one. It's not a necessity for jazz. Wrong. and plenty of jazz is passed down academically. True. But the aural, A-U-R-A, not oral like with your mouth, O. Why did I say it like that? Not oral speaking, but aural, the one with the A. So, I mean, you keep talking over my points. But simply put, you are wrong. No! You're wrong! And the reveal of this probably won't paint me in the best light. This is the last comment. I didn't respond to him anymore because I knew I was hitting my head against a brick wall. A set of notes does not imply it being major or minor or dominant. Rather, they are predefined, and any given set of notes makes up a chord. I think I explained clearly, like, these two chords have the same letters in them. It's got a B flat, a D, an A, and an F. This one might hear something a little bit different. Since I played this, your ear has been seasoned, so to speak, but there you go. That's a minor chord. In a vacuum, you could spell that this is B flat major 7. We organize the pitches in the most logical way. It's B flat major 7. But you will see this played all the time as G minor 9. Guitar player plays this. It's G minor 9. And like I said, I've played plenty of jazz in my time. I'm going to take a wager and guess you haven't. Because I listen to you play. You're nothing more but mediocre. Also, your reel doesn't say anything about it. It just asks if it's this or that. That's the point! This is the explanation. Like, this is the whole big explanation. So, like, that one just sent me up the wall. Like, I'm like, okay, we're done. This isn't happening anymore. And so I looked into this guy. Like, I looked at his profile. Like, makes mediocre music. He posts all the time. Like, very, very consistent with his posting. To little to no success. And that's what, that's the unfortunate truth of social media. Like, I am incredibly fortunate that people choose to listen to me and watch my videos and take note of what I have to say. And I'm incredibly grateful for that. They found out, like, he's schizophrenic. Or at least stated that multiple times in some of his videos and hashtags. So either one, like, he's not of sound mind, or two, like, he's just lying, and he's a joy cough. Based on everything that I did some digging. I choose to believe the former. And this is a learning moment for me. I don't know how many times I need to learn this lesson. The vast majority of people who argue online are not of sound mind. Be it mental illness, lead poisoning. Like, that's a big one with a certain generation. That addles your brain. And all the soldering I've been doing, I'm gonna get lead poisoning. Like, I'm gonna be stupider than I am now, and angrier than I am now, in 20 years. That sucks. It's that thing. I have difficulty with pompous people being so confidently wrong. And I give the benefit of the doubt sometimes. I try to state my case logically and passionately, like Joe Bowers in the movie Idiocracy. Only to be met with taunting. I make the assumption that everybody wants to expand their information. Like everybody wants to get more information, learn more. That does not seem to be the case. I think I'm the weird one in that regard. I'm in a constant quest for information. So if any of you guys can justify me an F major 7 with F in the bass, that is a dominant chord. Please, like, I feel like I'm losing my mind about this. If you can give me an explanation, I'm happy to hear it and incorporate it. And none of that. Just put G in the bass. It's a dominant chord. I've figured out how to do that. So yeah, this whole episode was just me mad that somebody was wrong, and giving into that a little bit, and I'll have you know that all of my comments were very, very respectful and inquisitive. Like I was trying to approach this from a place of respect and trying to gain understanding. But once somebody says you are wrong, like you've lost the argument, and I did not want to devolve into ad hominem, but I got close, and maybe this is considered that, but it's teaching. It's entertaining. I'm yelling at the camera. So I think there's zero chance that you ever see this. I'm gonna call you Oliver because I believe that is your real name, not your chosen pseudonym. I hope you, if what you said was true, I hope you manage your illness well, and I salute you on your quest for knowledge. Humble yourself a little bit. I hate saying that, but the amount of music that you post from my perspective, it seems like you are presenting yourself as an expert, in which you know some stuff, you know some terms, but based on everything you said, you're not an expert. Humble yourself, take in information, and continue to grow. Man, I wasn't planning on getting sappy at all in this. No end housekeeping. That's the show. Get out of here.